Hello, my dear folks, my dear fellow Californians. On East-West Show today, Jack Zhao gets excited because we feel finally we're talking to the right person regarding our right issue. I call it right problems. We do have a huge problem, California infrastructure of our typically transportation related. So to give you a little background about me, myself though, 31 years ago, when I first came to the States, though, I wrote back to my friends in China, say, you know what? Driving in California makes you feel dizzy all the time because you hear nothing but the seating sound like shh, going like that. Nowadays, I don't have that problem because everywhere you go, you drive like you're on a bumper car, like the like that. So for sure, you are not falling asleep. So joining me in addressing this critical issue is my good friend. I call it a good friend of the community. The senator, I would say long-time tested senator of California, and the Honorable Senator Bob Huff. So, Senator, welcome to the show.
Good to be with you, Jack.
Good to be with you. Good. Every now and then, we see a chance to talk to our senator, talking about our own problems, we feel that number one, we're talking to the right person. Number two, we're looking for solutions, right? So now, lately, I heard that you're quite busy with the transportation issue, right?
Right.
I call it SCA 7.
SCA 7.
Let us know something, please. We're kind of in dead need about that, please.
Well, let me put a backdrop to this. In January, when the governor came out with his State of the State, he talked about needing to focus on transportation infrastructure, but he didn't lay out any money to do that.
All right.
And then we just came through the May revision of the budget, and again, he didn't lay out any money to do that.
Okay.
A reporter asked him, what are you doing about it? And he said, well, we'll get to that after, this.
After we get the money.
Yeah, pretty much. So we know the governor at least is focused on transportation infrastructure. He has identified a funding source. So we have to believe he's looking to be outside of the budget, or he would have included it in the budget. So having said that, as the Senate Minority Leader, we look to the group of senators that I work with. And the thing that was easiest to agree on is, at a minimum, we should be taking every transportation dollar, tax, and fee that's paid into transportation system and use it for transportation purposes. Now that sounds like common sense.
The earmarked money, right? The earmarked money, right? So, well, anyway, that's a right move, and it's a high time we do something to that.
Right.
As taxpayers, we've been hearing stories ever since. We're going to see a better freeway, we're going to see better surface, we're going to have less the potholes or so on and so forth. And on the contrary, we see nothing.
Right.
Thing is that even though there are promise after promise of doing something, we never see the money. That's the problem. Where did the money go?
Well, the state has taken it, and then the voters, through a proposition, I believe it was 42, said you have to use excise taxes and road taxes for road purposes. And so then the state got very creative in the downturn, and they borrowed it. Instead of taking it, they just borrowed it. Well, if you don't have a set payback period, it's the same thing as taking. So the voters, again, I believe in 2010, said you can't borrow it either.
The quote-unquote borrow.
Correct.
Right.
Well, what we failed to do is nail down all the transportation taxes and fees. So they've been diverting, borrowing, stealing, call it what you want, $1 billion a year for the last 5 years.
I see.
So SCA 7 would say all taxes and fees go to transportation purposes, and that should take care of the ones we're diverting now and any new ones that come up this year.
It sounds to me, I would say, one of the greatest bills of the recent years in history. Right?
Well, it's common sense.
Yeah, common sense, because as a minority leader of the Senate, so do you find it very hard to get the consent among your colleagues, or it is quite accepted? It's common sense, like you say.
Well, typically the Republicans agree with me. Some of the Democrats agree with me, and some of the Democrats don't agree with me. So on something like this, those who are charted with fixing everything, and that's majority party, they don't like to listen to us, right? But every now and then something just makes so much sense they can't avoid it. Right now, this issue polls over 70%. The people say it makes sense. Therefore, Sacramento will listen, and we'll find that whether we pass SCA 7 as a standalone, I believe it will be included in any transportation deal that we put together. Because if we're going to include more fees, and there's talk about doing that, at a minimum, you have to guarantee the money that's paid into transportation is going to be used for it, or people aren't going to give any more money.
Excuse me, Senator, for asking stupid questions. Sometimes I always do. Is that a partisan issue? Or does it sound a partisan issue, or by nature it is a partisan issue?
It's not a partisan issue as much as it is a partisan priority. So if you look at, we just came through a tough economic downturn. By all measures, you know, the state is back, you know, we're hiring again, there's more money coming into the state coffers, we've gotten out of the recession. There's still the haves and have-nots, a lot of the new jobs are lower paying jobs, but having said that, as we went into the economic downturn and we've been building back up, we find that health and human services has grown by about $17, $18 billion since 2007, 8, 9, when we went into the recession. Government has grown another $5 billion or so. If you look at every major factor, it comes down to transportation is $1.9 billion. So on the high end, you got about $18 billion. On the very low end, you got transportation, $1.9 billion. And so that's why I say it takes on, you know, partisan
Not even by
emphasis.
proportion,
It has to do with these other things. They're just more important to them than transportation. And so we're all paying the money. It ought to be going into it, but they'd rather take that and prop up something they think is more important.
Just how long has it been for California to have recognized the problem, yet getting no hands on the job due to lack of money?
Well, I think it was clear back to when Jerry Brown was governor before. You know, there was issues then. In fact, many of the problems we face now are some that he stopped funding because we didn't have enough money to do everything, such as a 5760 interchange.
I see.
That was one originally was supposed to be fully grade separated, and if you've been out by the 5760, it's not. And you always have, it's one of the most accident prone in the nation as far as an interchange.
If you don't trust me, to go test it yourself.
Yeah, any
5760, and you go there, well, you tell me how many out of 10 times that you have smooth traffic. So that is a problem. But the problem is that there are problems. There are problem after problems, right? There are problems that can wait.
Right.
There are problems that cannot wait. By that, I mean, those are the problems that deteriorating yourself by getting no attentions or no actually hands-on. And according to doing my homework, Senator, there is a little mathematics here, say, to maintain good condition costs about $2 to $4 per square yard, and then when it's a poor condition, it costs $15 to $30 per square yard, and whereas go to a deteriorating, very super poor conditions, it costs you $70 to $100 per square yard.
Right.
I would say that my table is worth of 3 square yards, right? That's $300 job.
That's an expensive fix.
It is deteriorating. Am I right saying that those problems are calling yourself, hey, we're getting down, we're getting drained.
Right.
So is that kind of emergency call?
Yeah, and that's why, so by not doing anything, you're not just delaying it for another day, you're actually making it so much worse and more expensive.
Sure.
And at some point you say, well, we can't fix this, right? That's why most local governments, including, I was on the Dime Bar City Council for 9 years, we had a pavement master plan, we call it. So every 7 years, we had rehabilitated every street within the city. So then by 7 years, you're back looking at the one you started with, right?
Sure. You're going in a rotation or a cycle.
So it's always being maintained.
The
state doesn't have something like that. So we have a huge number of our streets and roads, as you described, that it's you know, just grinding and bumping our cars apart.
Exactly. By nature, it could be a problem like, say, I plan to dig a swimming pool in my backyard, right? And due to lack of money, I postponed it because the money needs to go kids for their clothing,
Right.
for food on the table, right?
Right.
So I keep on postponing, without the fear that the land would go away,
Right.
without fear that the pool will cry, right? But here you're talking about a problem that even Jack Chow feels about it by driving a bumpy car. So that is really, really, really serious, isn't it?
Right. Well, and for your swimming pool analogy, it might cost you a little bit more, down the road.
Oh, yeah, sure, it might.
But it's not losing anything.
Judging by
right?
index.
So,
Yeah.
so for the roads, it'll probably cost you more, but you also have to do more of it. So that's why it becomes so much more expensive.
And also, people die of accidents.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, it creates unsafe conditions, as well as it costs the average motorist more money. It's like over $800 a year, and whereas the national average is $335 because of road maintenance and stuff.
And also, to taxpayers, you're talking about your gasoline consumption.
Yes.
Right?
It's worse when you have deteriorating roads for a lot of different reasons. But so the state, by enacting, is costing us more money down the road when it is fixed. And in the meantime, it's costing us more repair of our car alignment, blown tires, accidents because of that. So there's a huge thing that doesn't get laid at the feet of the state as it should because they have not acted in a timely manner.
Who do we rely upon to do our job? Our next generation? So we feel ashamed of doing that, right?
Yeah, we should.
Okay, now, my dear audience, today I feel excited because I finally seem to have the answer, to see the answer to our problem, the huge problem of California infrastructure, namely the transportation conditions, right? Join me, my good friend, a friend to this economy, a friend to California, a backbone to California, Honorable Senator Huff. By that, I mean that he is terming out this year?
End of next year, 16.
Unfortunately. But, he is preparing to take another job. He is running for the county supervisor of LA County. Am I right? I know for sure there's no doubt, no substantion about that. But the only thing is that I want you to complete your job on this issue before you go. Otherwise, you'll leave us crying.
Right. I'm still focused.
So, all right. Before that happens, let's take a short moment now. When we come back, we'll find out the strategy and way of doing it in this issue. So stay with us, please.